Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to tonight's 30-minute growth session. And let me get in the camera, I'm all over to the side. And tonight we're going to be talking about creating a growth mindset culture for your organization and team. And tonight I have back with me Dr. Nisa Jenkins. Hey, Dr. Jenkins.
Hello, hello, everyone.
Thank you for coming back and hanging out with me tonight.
Yes, glad to be here tonight.
Awesome. So let's dig in. Let's set the stage. You and I both have worked in leadership positions in healthcare, outside of healthcare, and one of the things that I've noticed repeatedly that individuals that I'm either working with or are essentially reporting to me struggle with growing from 1 year to the next, 1 century to the next. And one of the things that I am finding that is happening, the world continues to evolve,
Hmm.
the industry continues to evolve, but they are allowing fear to hold them back. And one of the things that I have noticed about me as an individual is that I have continuously I have this hunger, this desire to grow. But I
Hmm.
realize that for one reason or another, many individuals are struggling with taking that first step. I have mentioned over the last couple of months that I had to get to a place where I became comfortable with being uncomfortable. And let me just tell you, it's a scary place. It's a scary place, but as you stay in that uncomfortable space, you start to see a shift mentally, physically, emotionally, and you will say to yourself, "Self, why didn't I do this a long time ago?" So, today, let's dig into some strategies for creating that growth culture. Dr. Jenkins, what are some, let's talk about some of the things that you should not do so then we can set the stage for what you should do. So let me set the stage for you.
Okay.
You are back here in Chicago. You
Hmm.
decided ATL is out of the picture, right? And you decided that, you missed the snow and you want to come back and be closer to me and be closer to your sister. And so you get this job at this hospital HIM department. And you come in and you decide week one, you are going to make all of these changes. You didn't really get to know anyone. And you're like, this is how we did it in Georgia. And this is how we're going to do it here in Chicago. What's wrong with that picture?
Well, number one, you're in an entirely different environment, a different group of people. So you certainly can't integrate what you use somewhere else. And certainly there are some things you can do, but you can't go in expecting that everything is going to be exactly the same, right? The people are the same. They're going to receive you the same. The dynamics of your relationship are going to be the same. You just can't do it because people are so different. They're getting to know you. They may have not experienced someone like you. So I think there are a lot of dynamics associated with that. It's just totally unrealistic, right?
Absolutely. And I think back to when I pivoted from working at McDonald's as a manager, getting into healthcare, 5 years into my healthcare journey, I found myself working at a hospital here in Chicago as a director. And one of the first things that I did was just shadow the folks that were either reporting to me, physicians that were working in the clinic. I really just spent some time walking around, getting to know everyone.
Yeah.
And my strategy, honestly, was for number one, for them to see that I'm not the leader that's just going to sit in the office and I'm going to be dictating to everyone, what I want them to do. And then after I started to learn about them, they learned about me. I learned who had dogs and who had cats, right? Nothing really too personal, but just something that when I saw him in the hallway, I could say, "Hey, how's your little puppy doing?" Right?
Uh-huh.
I'm building that rapport with them.
Yes.
Then I started to take a look at the job descriptions for those individuals that reported to me and just said, hey, can I sit with you? Want to learn more about your role, how I can support you. And one of the things that I found was that many of the individuals that were reporting to me, they're in a union
Mhm.
and they complained about not being able to grow. And I'm like, well, why not? Right. Of course, now this was the 90s, but I'm like, if you want to grow, I am here to support you if you want it, right? Because one of the things I've learned, everyone that reports to you can't treat them the same from the perspective of where they are, where they want to go to. You really gotta, I hate to use this word, but this is a term for from situational leadership. You really
Mhm.
gotta diagnose them first to understand, is this person highly skilled, highly educated, highly motivated? That person I'm not gonna need to give as much care to as opposed to a person who's highly motivated, they lack the skill. And if I just give them that support, figuring out what level of support they need, because everybody's level is different, I found that I have greater outcomes as well as my team is respecting me.
Yes. Yes. I agree, Lisa. I think though, when you talk about care, I think that they certainly still need care. It's just a different level of care, right? So you've got your intermediate, you've got your mid level care, and then you got high level of care. And so I think you still need to give them care, but you meet them where they are. If they don't need a whole lot of your attention or follow up and things like that, you still come back and you say to them, how are things going? Wow, you did a dynamic job on this project. Tell me some things about your strategy for development. So there's different ways versus, if they need, that higher level of care, and you're having to ask them some questions that make you kind of dig in and guide and direct. So I think that our teams still need care. It's just at different levels, definitely.
Awesome, awesome. So what do you think about the concept of team building in the virtual environment? Some people believe it cannot be done. What do you think about that?
I definitely think it can be done. Definitely. I just think that certainly you have to have some engaging activities, some interesting conversation for your team. It's not like, when we're in the room together and we're having those conversations on a regular basis. There's some sidebarring going on that helps get to know people. But I do think you need to have those activities. And Dr. Campbell, just hang on for me 1 second. I notice I'm losing power and it's causing me to kind of be shifty here. So carry on for a second while I run and get my cord.
Awesome. Okay, no problem. So I want to find out from our viewing audience, how many of you feel like your leader just doesn't get you and haven't taken the time to get to know you? If that's you, type me in the chat. Like they've started, but they have an agenda, and that agenda doesn't include supporting you, getting to know you. It's basically, they meet with you to kind of like check off a box to make sure that they can meet that requirement, but they're not really supporting you in the way that you need. And, as you guys are typing in the chat, I want to share with you that it's so important to build relationships. It's so important that you think about the fact that while your manager has a role in supporting your growth, you also have a responsibility in ensuring that you're able to grow. I know sometimes making just one little change is fearful, but trust me, when you take that one little step, you're like, "Whoa, I didn't realize that if I did this one little step, it would get me closer to where I want to grow to." And growth is something that it's like a muscle, right? That you have to continue to build and build and build. And you'll find that once you start to just flex it a little bit, you'll get stronger and stronger and stronger. So I think Dr. Jenkins is back with us. So I'm going to bring her back into the conversation. And so, hey, I'm glad that you had a A plan and a B plan and a C plan. I love all of it. That's what leaders do, right? So, Dr. Jenkins, I think you're on mute.
Yes. So I was thinking about some of the things you were saying in terms of, just basically being prepared. But I like to label that as risk taking. Not being afraid to take those risks that are out there, and being able to um, have someone you can kind of use as a sounding board, I guess, and let them know what some of those risks are that you're wanting to take, and not being afraid. And sometimes it just takes kind of just talking it through, communicating with someone about the risks that you're going to take. And it's not that you're looking for someone to tell you what to do, but you just want to have somebody that you are running it by, just to kind of, how should I handle this? Or what do you think about this risk? And have you heard of anyone who's done it before? Just helps, I think, in terms of digesting some of the things that we want to do along our career paths.
Absolutely. I am in the process of reading the book. If you've been listening for a while, you know I'm always reading the book. So I am in um, really a point in my life where I just want my growth journey to be so amazing that I can have an impact on everyone that I touch. I've been teaching coding for about 25 years and everybody's like, "Oh, I love your coding videos and all of that." And I enjoy doing that. And one of the things that I always try to do in the video is show my excitement for the material, right? Because who wants someone teaching them or leading them and that person isn't excited? You're like, "Whoa, maybe you know, I don't know how to respond." Some people need that warm cheerful person, and not that we're cheerful every day, right? Some
Right.
days you wake up and you like, "Yeah, I don't want this." But as a leader, you gotta put self to the side so that you can lead, empower, and transform the lives that are working with you, because you will never really know the extent of how much you can help someone by just a smile, just by your positive demeanor. I know I've been in multiple meetings with you. And one of the things I love about you as a leader, you'll be in a meeting and it'll be 30 minutes. You won't say a word. But then when you do, what you say is so powerful. It's so thoughtful. It's so um, considerate of others. And I think that that's a great characteristic to have as a leader.
Yeah, for me, it's I really try to, because my gifting is listening, right? So I always, that's what's going to happen. That's my love language. Let me listen, because I want to make sure that, first of all, I don't know if it's the first opportunity that a person is being heard, or they need to be heard right now. So I just think it's important that we listen. But I try to make an assessment of the room, and look at what's going on. And I'm looking at everything. If we're all on camera, I'm looking at everyone's face on camera. I'm really trying to listen to what's being said, because I think we definitely, especially when we are working in the team dynamic, we always need to be considerate of everyone's feelings and thoughts. We may not agree, but I still think that the way that other people feel is important, right? And I need to consider that as I'm responding or developing my response. And certainly I can have my own point of view, but I still think it's important to listen and then make an assessment, and then often choosing my words wisely, right? Because I think that's so important in terms of communication. We can come across so strong sometimes, and we may not mean it that way, but because we're in the dynamics of a team, people interpret things very differently. So I try to make that assessment when I am in a team meeting or in any meeting in general, whether I'm speaking or not. I'm assessing the room. So I think that those are just important dynamics for leaders to have, because you're going to have strong communicators. You're going to have those who don't want to communicate as much, or maybe they just aren't as sure. But there's a place for everybody, right? There's a place for everyone at the table, and as a leader we just got to learn the dynamics of, hey, you know what, she's a strong contributor. Let me hear her thoughts on this, because she already, she typically has had the experience already. So let me hear what she's got to say. That, you got to handle it from that perspective.
Oh, you just said something that I think is so powerful. So, as a leader, recognizing the value, the characteristics, the strengths of those that you lead,
Hmm.
by you allowing them to have that voice, it's life changing.
Yeah.
Some people, and I've learned this just from working over the years. Some people only get to talk at work
Mm.
because maybe at home they're in a, and it's domestic violence awareness month, it's breast cancer awareness a month, but some people are in households where their voice is muffled. They're not allowed to speak because maybe the dynamic of their family situation. So I think it's important for us to really encourage our team members to grow. Sometimes I feel like I have to nudge some people to grow because they're just like comfortable.
Hmm.
And like I said, and I'm going to say this until I can't say it anymore, the magic happens when you get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think about my second cousin who just died recently. And one of the things that she said was that she always wanted to ensure that when she left this earth, that she did all of the things that she wanted to do. She wanted to
Yes.
live life with no regrets. And my family members tell me all the time, you are like 2.0 version of her because you are going to do the things that you want to do. But one of the things that I believe in doing is supporting others in their growth journey. So one of the things that I want to share with you, first of all, the book that I'm reading right now, you're probably wondering what's the name of it. It's called Rejection Proof, and basically, the author talks about 100 days of him going through situations where he was really promoting himself to get rejected. Well, as he talks about the rejections that he set up to occur, but then what wound up happening, he experienced growth that allowed him to pivot to where he wanted to go, but also it allowed him to uncover some things that he would have never uncovered if he didn't allow himself to go through the rejection period. And so, you know me, I'm listening, I'm reading, I'm writing notes, and I'm like, wow, that's so powerful that in order to become rejection proof, you have to allow those situations to happen. Sometimes we don't step out because we are afraid to be rejected and we are afraid to fail. But I think oftentimes those two kind of get intermingled. People think that rejection is failure, but sometimes rejection is good because it's preventing you from getting involved in something that really does not mean you any good. So
Yeah.
that's the one book that I'm reading. And one of the things that I also found in this book was that this gentleman who wrote the book, he was a different nationality than individuals that he was interacting with. He's a different nationality from me. And so the other thing that I really am taking away from the book is just really continuing my desire to learn about other cultures, because
Mhm.
as a leader, you're dealing with a multi-generational workforce, a multi-diverse workforce, right? And so you need to be respectful of everyone's culture and, try not to offend someone, but also, recognize, I'll just use a perfect example. A lot of people say black women are loud, right? And one of the things that I wrote in my book is that when I'm excited about something, you will be able to tell it, because it will come across. It's going to come across in my face, in my smile, in my energy. And so it's not that I'm trying to be loud, I'm excited.
Yeah.
And when I'm excited about empowering others, helping others grow, my voice may get a little loud, but I'm not yelling. I'm just excited about what I'm doing and who I'm helping.
Yeah, I call that revealing your passion, right? When we're passionate about it, you're going to hear the sound of passion in our voices. And if it's something that we're less passionate about, we may not, interject as much sound. But I think if we want to deliver a certain message, it does come with a certain level of sound. So I think that that's important. And I think we always, always need to make sure that we are recognizing our sound, right? Because you have a dynamic sound that God has given you, and your sound makes a difference in the earth. And so we can never let anyone take that away from us. You know what I mean? Sometimes people want to shape you and mold you into what they want you to be, but your sound has a distinct message to it, and folks need to hear it. So I definitely get where you're coming from, and I love your sound. I think it's important to have it, and to know how to use it and when to use it.
Absolutely. And I think one of the reasons why I use my voice so much, there was a time in my life where I lost my voice.
Mhm.
It was the time, and many of you have heard me share this before, and this actually, probably in the last 12 months, I've started to share this. But there was a time that I decided to take my own life because I didn't recognize how powerful my voice is, how
Mhm.
powerful my voice was. But once I realized my strength, my power, I promised myself that I would never allow myself to go down that path again. And I think there are so many times where individuals have just cut themselves off from
Mhm.
everyone, and they're suffering in silence. And so, one of the messages that I want to leave you all with today is that whether it's you leading a team or you being a part of a team, don't be afraid to use your voice respectfully, of course, but also don't downplay your self worth. Don't allow others to define you. You teach people how to treat you. And if they think they can treat you any kind of way, they will. And during that time frame, when I took those 30 Tylenol, I think I was just allowing myself to become a victim of my circumstances. And then I realized that I will no longer be a victim. I'm going to be victorious.
Yes, yes. Well said, Dr. Campbell. Well said. And I think it's, I mean, it's so wonderful to be able to share that, because it's so powerful. There's so many people out there dealing with issues just like that, and not really knowing how to um, be heard, And so I think that that's just so powerful, so transparent.
And one of the things I realized, I grew up in the church, and I realized that what you go through is not necessarily for you. It's so that you can help others because there are so many people who are afraid to share what's going on with them. And one of the things that I try to make sure, not that I try to be nosy and all in people's business, but I don't have a problem with taking them to the side and saying, "Hey, are you okay?
Yes.
If you're not, I'm here for you. I got your back. You don't have to go through this alone. You don't have to suffer." So, whether you are a leader, a team member, you are not alone. You cannot suffer in silence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a whole show on its own that definitely needs to happen. You know what I mean? Because I think we just live in a time where it's just so much going on, and so many people in need of help, in need of support. And I think that it's still related to leadership. I think we need to be leaders who can um, assess our teams and ask that question: how are you? Are you okay? Tell me a little bit about yourself. How is this impacting you? And that's one thing I love about the leaders that I've experienced along my career path. Many of them were not afraid to ask that question, and at the same time, many of them are. When there's a something going on in the world, and you're in a meeting, and nobody says anything about what's going on in the world, to me that's just, I mean, I don't understand why. You know, everybody is feeling it, you know, everybody has seen it or heard it. And I think it's important to see how your team is dealing with it. How's it impacting their home? How's it impacting their family, their communities? Because that impacts how they do their job.
Absolutely. And I'm teaching this graduate class, healthcare administration, Tuesday nights. It's a face to face class. And the university that I'm teaching at has a very diverse population of students. And so, as future healthcare leaders, one of the topics that we are continuing to talk about as we talk about strategic planning for healthcare organizations, we talk about how to have cultural bias awareness, how to really just understand truly, honestly, where you stand, and then what you need to do to become more sensitive to others. And
Yes.
so last night was really somewhat emotional because I have some students in my class that are from, different countries. And with all the things that are happening,
Hmm.
I just took a moment to ask if anyone had a family member that was impacted by what's going on, just to allow that platform, that room to be a safe space for them to communicate that, hey, I'm not okay, right? And I'm not a social worker, right? I got a therapist. Everybody needs a therapist. But, sometimes just 1 minute of allowing somebody to say, "I'm not okay,"
Yes.
really could prevent them from getting in the car and trying to take their life.
Yes. Yeah. Well said, Lisa. That is so, so, so important. Because that one moment could change everything, for someone. So I think it's important, and leading right from where you are. You know what I mean? These things that are being shared is just not for people who are in leadership roles with a title. It is for all of us who lead right from where we are, and we can do that. I can do that as a admin assistant. Sitting across from someone, I can say, "Hey, how are you impacted by that? How'd that make you feel?" Um, and I think we just need a little bit more of what you described in the world. I think it makes it a better place.
Yeah, and not get caught up in all those titles. You know what I mean? Because people think, "Oh, they're vice president of this. Oh, they got a doctorate degree." At the end of the day, if you look at our organs internally, most of us were born with the same organs, right? We got our kidneys and our ureter and our bladder. And so, really just trying to understand the human side of each other, take all the titles and all the accolades and all the things off the table, I really think will help us be a better place.
Yes, I agree. I do agree.
Well, it has been 30 minutes. I like to keep these growth sessions, short and sweet. So, Dr. Jenkins, do you have any parting words of wisdom, motivation, inspiration for our listening and viewing audience?
I think one thing last thing I want to share is that in terms of the team dynamic and leadership in dealing with teams, is to make sure that you understand the position that everyone on the team plays, right, and what they bring to the table, whether it is something that's what the individual may see as big or small. It all has an impact, and I think that is so important to understand your team, know those who work among you or labor among you. I think it's so important because we all complement each other. We all bring something to the team that makes us a team. So I just, want folks to step out, take that risk, show what you can do, whatever that is, and be the player on the team that you need to be. Fill that position that's been given to you.
I
Thanks.
love it. I love it. And it's football season, so I want everybody to play their position. And I want us to get a touchdown. And one of my last comments that I want to say to leaders, and I want to use the football analogy. Your team can't get the touchdown. They can't meet the goal if you keep moving the goal line, right? In football, the goal line stays the same.
Yes.
And so I think oftentimes when you tell your workforce, especially during annual reviews, you didn't do this, this, and this. Well, I didn't know I was supposed to do those things. And I think people are more receptive when we're open, honest, transparent with them, because then we can get them to do the things that, of course, they're being paid to do, but that we desire for them to do for the greater good of the organization.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, listen, Dr. Jenkins, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Those of you who are listening live or via the recording, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our social media channels. You can find us on LinkedIn at Dr. Lisa L. Campbell, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, YouTube, all the social media channels. I'm even on the Snapchat. I don't really understand the Snapchat, but I'm on there. And then lastly, I did want to share with you all that I will be hosting some growth workshops. And if you're like, I want to walk away with a plan to help me pivot in whatever area that you want to pivot in, I'm going to show you a 30-second video. And if you are interested in the workshop, I'm going to drop the email for our customer service department, and they will be more than happy to share um, information with you about the workshops. They are face to face here in the Chicagoland area. If you're not in the Chicagoland area, you can join us via the technology, and we are really excited about the growth of everyone.
Are you ready to experience personal and professional transformation? Are you feeling stuck in your personal or professional life? Do you struggle to stay motivated and inspired? Are you ready to unleash your full potential and achieve your goals? In this full-day workshop, you'll learn how to master your mindset, set clear and meaningful goals, and take consistent action towards achieving your dreams. You'll gain valuable insights, tools, and strategies to overcome obstacles and self-doubt and develop a growth-oriented mindset that supports ongoing growth and development. Register now for our Shed the Weight workshop with Dr. Lisa L. Campbell.